it takes hold at a young age. A desire that drives their every move.
My love for Supercross started so early on, and I was at the big events with the professionals at 12 years old. For me, it's just that the love of the sport. I really, really enjoy the day-to-day grind. That's what keeps bringing me back.
It's not a normal life that we live. It's one of those things where it takes a certain kind of person to be able to sleep in a hotel bed more than your normal bed. It's not ideal, but at the same time, when you look at it, you're like, well, it does beat stocking shelves somewhere else.
Honestly, that's been my whole life. It's motivated me to come over here and be the best in the world my entire life.
My name is Ken Roczen. I am 11 years old. I live in Germany.
I'm like a German-American kid, you know what I mean? Like it's just, I wanted to speak like Americans. I feel like my path was kind of like laid out for me to be able to come here, so that was very early on.
At the end of the day, the main goal is winning races and being a champion. But at the moment, I'll sacrifice anything to be the best rider. And, we put in, blood, sweat, tears, just everything to be the best we can be.
This is everything to these guys. And when they have that moment of success of, this is why I do it, I never want to do anything else but this, it gives them a whole new lease on a career.
Any manager can go out and buy a champion. Tomac's going to win races. He's going to compete for championships, so is Roczen. I get more pride out of taking someone who's not expected to win the championship and building them into a champion.
When you win a championship, as a kid or as a racer, a young racer, until you achieve it, you think your life's going to change. It's not the way it is. There's always a next year, a next race, and it's always evolving.
Over the last 45 years, riders from across the world have dreamed the same dream: to win at the highest level. And for the anticipating fans, at 17 of the world's most prestigious stadiums, they live vicariously through every moment.
Obviously, the hardest part of any season is just to try and stay healthy. Try and get on that roll before you have any little nagging injury, or as soon as they get on that little roll and they're feeling good, then stuff just seems to happen automatically for everybody.
These are $1 million athletes out there. There's a lot of pressure on them. Literally all the OEMs are looking at these guys, and they're the ones that are supposed to bring the title home. And the mental game is such a big part of it.
You have to be extremely confident if you want to win in Monster Energy Supercross. I've seen riders go out at track walk and take a look at a whoop section or a particular rhythm lane, and mentally they're done. And I've seen other riders come out and look at the same section and go, it's my night.
Trying to go 17 races, dodge all the bugs, the injuries, everything else, there's so many ways for a thing to go wrong during the season. It takes away the chance to win a championship.
As the season grinds on, I look at the champions and they just start being stronger mentally. They just figure it out, and that's to me where you see the champions.
We do about 1,600 laps in the off season before the season even starts, and then we have 17 weeks of racing and also still training, 200 laps a week. So there's a limit.
You can't come into the season overconfident. You got to be level that way. There's a fine line between being overconfident and not believing in yourself enough.
All the nerves, all the time, all the off-season training is going into that first race.
It is close contact racing all the time, extremely physical, and there is no soft way to crash.
It's the toughest sport in the world, Supercross. What it takes to be at that 1% is grueling.
This is it. This is the pinnacle of the sport.
Those guys, they're warriors. I mean, what they do on the bike is unbelievable.
Everybody's so precise, the timing. If you look at the lap times, it's within tenths of a second of each other.
Cooper Webb beats him to the line!
It's every weekend a brawl.
I think what separates Cooper Webb from the rest is he races with a chip on his shoulder. He's had that chip since he was a kid. He carried it all the way through the 250 class, into the 450 class, and
After the way his 450 career started, I think the chip grew bigger. And in 2019, he had something to prove, and I don't think anybody was ready for it.
In every athlete, there lies a belief that they could reach the very top, that they won't let their circumstances define them.
Cooper Webb riding with a broken wrist right now.
From every major setback, Cooper Webb found motivation.
You know, the hard work in the season, it's definitely paid off.
This is the tale of a champion who was not always sought after, and from that, developed a certain passion that has forever defined him.
Cooper Webb wins the 2019 Monster Energy Supercross Championship.
You know, if I'm honest, it's one of those things I've always felt like I was overshadowed, especially in the amateur ranks. I had one professional contract, and it was from Bobby Reagan at Star when it was time for me to turn pro. And that was all I had. You know, I went to every team, every manufacturer, sat in their office, and nobody gave me a chance. And so I strongly believe I carry that chip on my shoulder. And still to this day, it's cool to walk by the people that didn't want anything to do with me and shake their hand, and feels good.
He's a pit bull, you know? He's here to do business, and he doesn't really care who's in his way. He's gonna make it happen.
He's got a little bit of that, hey, I'm already pissed off before I get to the starting line kind of look.
Yeah, I think you need to have this kind of attitude if you want to win a championship. Ryan Villopoto was a little bit like Cooper Webb.
While he may be brimming with confidence now, it wasn't always the case. The start of his 450 career was marred by injuries and subpar results.
Once I kind of looked in the mirror, I think I saw, okay, I need to make adjustments. I do need to make changes. I never lost faith in my ability. You know, I definitely lost confidence and a little bit of belief, but I always knew and never lost that hope of like, hey, you know, I will figure it out and I will be a 450 contender.
When you talk to the KTM guys about why they chose Cooper, they saw a lot of things in Cooper that made them believe that he's got everything he needs as a rider to win this championship. What he needed was one last piece, and that was the right organization and the support from that organization to get it all done.
Every now and then you'll see a brand become like the dynasty. So Honda was the dynasty for a while, and then Yamaha was the dynasty, and others have been here and there. It just depends on who's winning a lot. Right now, KTM is the dynasty. If you think about back in '03, like, KTM is the laughing stock. MC going there is just like, why would they do that? If you had told someone in 2003 when MC goes at Anaheim 1, I'm retiring, I can't race this bike, I'm done. If you had caught someone out of that press conference and told them, hey, 16 years later, they're going to be the brand, you'd have been laughed out of the room.
This is everything. You have all the pieces to the puzzle. The team that's going to do whatever it takes. Austria, I know this for a fact, Roger can make a phone call on Monday, the part's on Cooper Webb's bike Friday, and he can race on it. No other team can do that.
Surrounded by one of the best teams in the sport, the final piece of the puzzle was to move to Florida and work under Eldon Baker, who has trained the past 9 champions in Monster Energy Supercross.
I told Roger and Ian that at KTM straight up. I said, hey, you know, it is something that I'm not sure about, and they pretty much told me, well, hey, it's what we think is the best for you. And so I just trusted them and came here, and like I said, I moved into this house before ever even meeting Eldon. I didn't know what to expect. I knew it was gonna be tough. You know, I knew it was gonna be a really big challenge, and truthfully, I didn't know if I could handle it or would be ready for it.
For him to turn that around in 1 year and not only grab like a win or 2, but literally grab the title is, I think, the most impressive thing. It shows you what kind of racer he is.
Cooper will talk about the importance of his team and what they've done for him. Anytime you ask him about where's this difference, where is this all coming from, he will point to the team.
I think it's going to be a lot harder for him this year. Last year, I think he surprised everybody. I think the competition will have a better understanding of who he is, and for him to do it again, it's going to be a lot more difficult.
it is hard to repeat. And that's for sure a tough one. The guys who do repeat tend to do it over and over again, so this next year is going to be a challenge.
I think as an athlete, it's something that you strive for, is to achieve a dream or a goal and have that pressure of, hey, you know, do it again.
It's been a dark December.
Red Bull KTM was hoping to enter the 2020 season with a two-pronged title attack. But those aspirations were disrupted in early December, when Marvin Musquin suffered a preseason knee injury which required surgery, effectively ending his 2020 season before it began. The Monster Energy Supercross Preview Show is brought to you by Monster Energy, proud partner of Monster Energy Supercross, and by Toyota. Let's go places.
Is it championship or bust, your goals for 2020?
Oh, absolutely.
From a small corner of Colorado, Eli Tomac has risen to one of the greatest in the sport. Yet for every accomplishment, the story remains the same. Can he achieve his biggest goal, a championship in Monster Energy Supercross?
You know, I've won a lot of races the past 3 years. A lot of races, more than any other guy on the line in that 3-year window for sure. So I feel like I should be the guy with the overall, but I haven't made it work yet. So consistency that's what I've lacked so far. You know?
On any given Saturday night, I don't know if there's another guy in the gate faster.
Sometimes when he's on, it's like, well, this is over.
Eli Tomac is one of the best riders in the world on a dirt bike. He just hasn't gotten over winning this championship.
I think Eli likes to win so much that he doesn't accept losing, and that kind of bites him from time to time. And if you look throughout a season, you'll see probably 13 races out of the 17 that are unbelievable, but those 4 cost him every year.
To me, Eli Tomac in Supercross is a mystery. I mean, that's difficult to understand. As a journalist, as a photographer, I mean, sometimes I don't even see him during the race. You see, where's he at? I mean, did he start? And the next week you ask him, so what happened last week? And sometimes he doesn't know. You see, I don't know. I mean, I just sucked. I mean, I didn't do good.
The fact that he hasn't won this championship is really wearing him down, and I think you're starting to see that a little bit of personality. I don't know if he's always the happiest guy to be here until he wins that championship. I think that it is really wearing on him.
There has to be pressure. This is a piece that's missing. So if I'm him, I'm not happy until I've got that title and that box is checked.
There's pressure, and there's pressure from his sponsors, there's pressure, but the most pressure is from him within himself. Every fiber of his being is dedicated to the sport and doing what he does. Every single step. He will not do anything to compromise any results, and he works tirelessly at improving himself and the bike and working with his team.
It's been a little bit of a broken record the same way each year. You know, I feel like I'm playing catch up at the beginning of the season, and then I start, getting in the groove and really, making my strides middle to the end, and I'm getting those wins, and not coming away with, I call it like the big trophy, is pretty disappointing.
The last 3 years, you should have been the guy. You should have won it and you didn't. Well, maybe you go into the season and maybe you peg yourself as not the guy, and then the pressure comes off. And if I'm his camp, that's the way I'm trying to approach it with him, is you are not the guy.
When you're second place in the championship, like, you've got nothing to lose, so that's been my mindset. I'd way rather be the guy that's, maintaining the position or holding that red plate.
He knows how to do it. He doesn't have to get over that hurdle, and we just have to keep doing what we're doing to make sure the bike is right, and Eli's got to do his homework, which we don't have to worry about that. He's getting his homework done.
Eli signed a contract extension for another 2 years in 2019, so we'll see him on the track for a while longer, even though he's only 26, 27 years old. the time frame to do this in is very small. He knows it's got to happen now or it's never going to happen.
I know, you only have a window that's so big to be in your prime, but I feel like I'm still in that window to go out there and do it. So hopefully 2020 is the year.
As the dew begins to rise at the baker's factory and the workday begins, Zach Osborne's morning is spent at home.
So I have 2 kids. My daughter Emery, she's 5, and my son Bodie, he's almost 1.5, and we enjoy, just being at home, honestly. My wife's a homebody. She's a Susie homemaker, cooks, cleans, the works. We do everything kind of old school. She makes, homemade sourdough bread and bakes and does all this stuff. So it's just kind of who we are. We're just homebodies, and that's the way we like it. But we also like to go racing, and we do that as a family too. So that's kind of our thing. We just enjoy being together.
Having met Zach when we were 12 and been dating since we were 15, 16, we got married whenever we were 22, which to a lot of people is really young, but to us it was like, finally we're getting married. We felt like we had waited an eternity to get married, but we really wouldn't have it any other way.
So this is our family odyssey. It's where we met, where our kids were born, places we've been together, places I've been alone or with friends, or when I was racing in Europe.
I guess you could say I wear a lot of hats. Zach and I, we don't have an agent, we don't have any type of manager. I mean, we really just try to keep as much in-house as we can. We just feel like the more people we kind of involve in that, the further we get away from that. So we like to keep our circle pretty small, and every contract negotiation, everything really comes down to just he and I at the end of the day.
Weekdays at the Osbornes begin early. It's why Zach holds camp close to home. Valuable time spent with his family holds high priority. While this day began as a father, it ends at the track. His dedication to the craft reaffirming his conviction to battle for a title in his second year.
Both just have this ability to suffer, and we almost kind of thrive on it as far as endurance and just mental toughness. I would just call him incredibly mentally tough.
The sad thing about winning titles to me is it's always like a weight lifted. You're pumped, but at the same time it's like someone pulled the drain plug on your emotions, and I experienced it myself in 2017 when I won my first 250 Supercross title. It was like I was so emotionally drained because of the pressure and everything that went into, basically my whole life had gone into this one moment.
Osborne to the inside! Jacksonville! Oh, Savachi's in the dirt! Osborne! Final corner! And the title!
That's one of those, this is why you race every lap as hard as you can. That's why you don't stop. But this is everything to these guys.
That's one thing that I want to try to avoid is if I ever have the opportunity to win another championship, is just to be able to really take it in and enjoy it. Those are the moments that you look back and wish would have lasted forever, but they're the ones that at the time you don't even remember because you're so spaced out from the emotion that you've finally done it, and it's a weight lifted off your shoulder.
The parallels between Zach Osborne and Jason Anderson stretch well beyond just being teammates at Rockstar Energy Husqvarna. Anderson himself, all too familiar with the weight a title carries.
Jason Anderson has always been the guy that you can count on for some wild riding, a really good finish here and there, a win. So when he does claim the 2018 title, you're like, oh, okay, cool. Jason put it together. Maybe that's a new guy. Unfortunately, when you are a young rider and you haven't had a lot of time to stay in that role as the guy, these new experiences of media opportunities, being brought out in front of the stadium with the #1 plate, the last guy in opening ceremonies, you get given a diamond ring in front of everyone. The fact that he had never run through anything like that before was a huge hindrance.
The interviews and the being Mr. #1, the champion guy and all this, that may not be Jason Anderson's deal.
Jason looked like the most uncomfortable champion I'd ever seen at A1 last year. I remember him sitting off to the side on the rocks there before the gates dropping and just not looking like he was enjoying it at all.
The biggest thing, everyone thinks like that the pressure got to me and stuff like that, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't really care about pressure or anything like that, but during the off season I feel like people just had me doing too much. You know, like there was weeks where like I couldn't ride because I had to go do, you know, sponsor stuff or obligations because you're the reigning champion. So by the time I got to Anaheim 1, I was just over dealing with all the sponsors, and during the day I just didn't care. I mean, I was there for a race, and in my mind I wasn't there for a race, you know, I wanted to go home.
I think we had lost a little bit of that, hey, let's keep it light, and we took ourselves too serious and we put too much pressure on us. It's stressful enough, especially at the factory level. They want to make sure you got the proper hat, proper shirt, you know, you're sitting correctly.
People's perception of you is a lot, you know, drawn out by the media that we have in the sport. I would like to be remembered more as like someone similar to like a K-Dub or something like that, you know? I think we get a little bit narrow-minded when you're in it, and if you look at it from the outside, we're way luckier than a lot of people on this planet, so it's pretty cool.
With the spotlight having faded, 2020 offers a chance for Anderson to re-emerge as a title contender.
I understand Jason. I've even told him, you know, if you were with any other team manager, you probably wouldn't be racing now. I know when to be friend and I know when to be manager. Sometimes you gotta be therapist and sometimes you gotta be dad, and I think I know more about all my staff and my riders than probably their wives and girlfriends do, and if any of them ever got thrown in jail, I would hope that I'd be the first guy they'd call.
Today is Thursday. We're off to the track. Lately, I've just been taking back roads here, just get different scenery. I feel like, it refreshes the mind a little bit. And yeah, most of the time, just listen to some reggae and get some happy music going. And if I could choose between a TV and a radio or whatever for the rest of my life, I would definitely take radio over a TV. She's got to be beat today. I had her out at the track, and then my mechanic's dog was there. They play, and at night too and everything. Probably gonna have a slow day.
While the soothing sounds of reggae ease his mind driving the back roads of Florida, no rider knows more about the long road to a new season than Ken Roczen. Through all the ups and downs and near misses throughout his career, one thing has never wavered: belief in himself.
The biggest thing that he has is confidence. There's no one that believes in Ken Roczen more than Ken Roczen does. He goes to the line every weekend thinking, yeah, I'm gonna win.
I ultimately think he has more pieces to the puzzle than anybody else in the field, but getting that win and reminding himself of what it feels like, that's the only thing he's missing, and when he gets one, they're in for it.
In the last few years, it's been a long time since I've kind of gotten into a rhythm. Just going through the entire year, going to every single race, and kind of been in the game for quite a while now too. And you know, one person that was really good at it was Ryan Dungey. I give him huge props because he hasn't always been the fastest guy out there, but somebody's behind him or whatever, he didn't let anything rattle him, and that's very, very impressive, especially getting so many championships in a row. You know, ultimately, I want to be the best rider in the world, but you know, there's a lot of things that other riders do very good, so I try to take the best of everything and study it and learn from it and apply it to my own character.
On the surface, Supercross is comprised of a rider and his machine, but behind the scenes, it's a group effort. It's why Honda has brought on former Supercross race winner Trey Canard to assist with their testing efforts.
I love having Trey around. He helps me and the team out so much. Track looks good today. The weather is so much nicer right now.
Yeah, so test riding has a couple reasons. You know, one of them is we want to kind of filter through a lot of the parts, and they don't have a lot of time to, you know, try 8, 12, 20 different parts, and so, you know, kind of filter through a lot of them and kind of wean down the choices. So maybe they got, you know, 2 or 3 rather than 20. All right, so you'll back-to-back the clutch from today and yesterday, and then try the 8. Okay, cool.
I'm gonna do some starts right now with it.
Okay, perfect. It's hard to put that amount of time in by yourself, and so, you know, just having another guy is I think pretty crucial in development.
I feel that Ken's drive inside him is just his desire to win. He knows that he can win, he believes that he can win, and I think he expects that from himself. I see that too when he's had a few races where he's close but just didn't quite get it, and he's pissed.
Webb cuts back inside through the woods, and Ken Roczen is going to have to wait a little longer for a victory in Monster Energy Supercross.
Some people say that he doesn't ride the way he rode back then before the injuries and everything, but he still has this winning attitude. And as a European, he doesn't want to quit. I mean, coming from East Germany, I mean, you have to understand that the time were rough when he was young.
When he clicks, there's a little bit of rock star attitude and probably rock star mentality to go with it. He's definitely in a zone when he's on.
He likes showing up to Anaheim 1 in a suit when everybody else is going to wear the same thing that they've worn every year. Yeah, you showed up in a $45 sublimated shirt. I showed up in a couple $1,000 suit.
His dad told me last year that he's still not quite there. So with another off season, maybe he's a little bit closer. And once he does it, Ken Roczen can not only be a winner, he too could be a serious contender for this championship.
To find the next great protagonist in Monster Energy Supercross, one doesn't need to look far beyond Ken Roczen's training camp. And much like Roczen's ascent, it's a career filled with trials and tribulations.
When Adam came in as the 250 guy, I don't think you could have been any more talked about than he was. And that's got to be hard for a 16-year-old kid that at the time wasn't even close to being like his physical self yet.
Just gonna try to do my best, and yeah, just anxious to get the first Supercross underway.
Early in his rookie 2014 campaign, Adam Cianciarulo was dominant, winning 3 of the first 5 250 Supercross Eastern Regional rounds. But his championship would unravel at round 6 and foreshadowed a long string of setbacks, as shoulder injuries also cost Cianciarulo the 2015 and 2016 Supercross seasons.
It was very difficult to deal with. I felt like I just wanted to jump right out the hotel window, and I took a picture of myself I'm gonna post it on Instagram. As soon as I win a championship, I'm gonna say, remember this night, you know? So I look at that picture sometimes and I'm just like, you know, that's what you're doing, you know, that's why you get back to that position.
5 years after he burst onto the scene as a 16-year-old, he was again at the top of the championship chase.
Oh, let's go!
He captured 5 250 Supercross Western Regional wins and entered the finale in Las Vegas with an 8-point lead.
Here we go, title time in Vegas! No, Adam Cianciarulo goes down! That could change this championship in a heartbeat! Ferrandis is gonna take over the points lead! And Adam Cianciarulo, another frustrating finish to a championship that will slip through his grasp once again.
I feel like I failed. I feel like a failure right now, but tomorrow I'm going to wake up. I'm going to, you know, put the boots on again and go to work. That's just that's what I'll always do. I always give them 100%, always fight to the end, no matter what happens.
The fact that Adam has had so many things knock him down so many times when everything looked like it was there and it just gets taken away from him, it's made him so much better.
Everything what happened to him in 250, the injuries and ups and downs and everything, it's behind him. So I think we're gonna see a new Adam. We're gonna see a new guy on a 450, and I think he's gonna surprise a lot of people.
Just months after his devastating loss, Cianciarulo returned to the site of that fateful night.
Adam Cianciarulo going for it. He's got it. The rookie
There wasn't much time to enjoy his win at the Monster Energy Cup, as Adam was quickly back in Florida to begin training for 2020 alongside Ken Roczen.
I'm gonna put blinkers on the back. I'm just gonna run the hazards for the first 3 races.
Blinkers and hazards, huh?
Everybody wants to make fun of me for going off the track, you know, so let's just put some hazards on it.
Ready when you are, my friend.
For most riders, boot camp is all work and no play. But Adam Cianciarulo and Ken Roczen aren't most riders. When it's time to work, there aren't many that attack the process like they do.
Good job. I have this thought in my head sometimes when I'm laying in bed at night. I think to myself, like, you and I getting a good start, and like me coming over this triple and you being next to me and me looking over and you not looking over.
You're like,
just
stop,
making
Fred, and I'm just
making me look like an unfocused idiot.
Yeah, Adam and I, I say we're almost like brothers, you know. We've been friends for a really long time, and I don't think that's ever going to change no matter what happens on the track. And if, you know, if we ever make contact, you know, if it's him making contact with me, I'm just going to go out and slap him in the face, and and we'll laugh about it, you know.
I've pretty much known him since I went pro, since I was 17. I'm 23 now, so like I still want to kick his ass. No, I think I can, but yeah, no, we're cool. They're capturing the last little bits of our friendship.
I know. We're fighting. So our goal or our plan was to fight at in the press conference.
Yeah, but now you just blew it. I guess they don't have it on the table. But I mean, like, legit. Like, they're gonna ask me about you. What's it like racing my friend? I'm gonna be like, well, honestly, dude, we're not really friends anymore.
This is too much.
I definitely didn't expect this lifestyle. I grew up in a really small town in California, and even though I was already in the industry, I didn't know anything about really the intensity of it from a family's point of view. Living it now and having him as my husband and having a family with him, it's a lot more stressful for sure. But I love it. It's amazing.
Since Breaker's been here, the daily routine has changed. Normally you just get up in the morning and do your thing. Now he wakes you up in the morning. It's bottle, it's diaper, it's changing, I spit up all over myself. Now I'm gonna cry and scream until somebody changed me. But at the same time, as soon as I get on the helmet, you kind of just forget all about it. And it's like, hey, this is what I need to do.
Yeah, the track is mint. That's why I went out and dozer prepped him this morning, so he didn't have any excuses today, so.
As soon as you come off the track, you come back here, you know, you got little man in your hands, you're like, well, I need to definitely make sure that I do my job the best. Basically, the better you do, the better I feel your future will be. So when you're holding him, you're like, man, I gotta go quick for you, buddy. I gotta put it up front.
I think when we get to the races, there's so much hype and your mindset is so different. There's a discomfort, and as confident as he is, I can imagine that it can still take a toll. Every puzzle piece has to come together.
At times, the hurdles one must conquer can seem too daunting, too improbable. Patience becomes a virtue. At Glendale Supercross, Blake Baggett's persistence finally paid off. Following 61 career starts in the 450 class, he finally broke through to claim his first ever win.
Blake Baggett is a winner in Monster Energy Supercross.
The goal last year was to try and win a race, and now he achieved that. So, the last 3 years at Anaheim 1, it hasn't been even anything inside the top 10 at the first race. Even last year, and he won round 2. So, get the ball rolling a little earlier. Were you racing? Did you race Blake? Yeah? Okay. You want to go get him? All right, go get him. Put your feet up.
These days, Michael Byrne is team manager of the Rocky Mountain ATV MC KTM team. But not so long ago, he was a contender in Supercross himself. Relying on more than a decade of racing experience, the Australian has been a key component in Blake Baggett's rise.
He's still a guy that can get on a bike and be within a second of you on a Supercross track. So it's kind of tough when he tells you to do something that, you know, some people, they tell you to do something, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, get the helmet on and show me then. But with him, I don't often use that against him unless I really want him to do it. Then I'll fire him up and be like, yeah, you show me, it can't be done. So just a little reverse psychology on him, get him all fired up and get him out there.
If one is to make it in the world of professional racing, they must be willing to bet on themselves. For Blake Baggett, that meant investing in his own facility, a sprawling 74-acre ranch in Leesburg, Florida, aptly named the El Chupacabra Ranch.
We did everything ourselves. I mean, we had somebody come pour the concrete, but other than that, we put up all the steel, we roofed it all, we did all the rebar in the ground, we did every drop of dirt that's been moved.
We're both from California. I mean, we lived in track homes in the middle of California, and we sat in traffic every day to get to the track, and now we live here. It's peaceful, and it really does make life easier being here.
I don't own a Ferrari or anything like that. I pretty much, everything like that, I dumped into this place. So pretty much all bonuses, all wins, all salaries, everything other than the minimal stuff to live on, I've pretty much dumped into this place, which some people could say it's a good move, it's a bad move. You know, everybody has their own opinion, but at the same time, equipment for me is one of those things that it's a hobby. It works for me and it moves the dirt, and it makes the tracks better, and you can always send it to auction when you're done with it and you want to get rid of it.
I feel like he sees racing as a little bit more important now because he has someone to share it with. Not a wife, but he has like a little friend to share it with, and he finally has someone that's gonna look up to him like he's the hero. Through my whole pregnancy, at every race, I always felt break or move when the bikes were going. And now that he's here, it's like the motorcycles put that kid to sleep. And it's gonna be a big part of his life. And I really hope that Blake will race until he's old enough to appreciate it, because I feel like as small as he is now, he already kind of does.
Located in the heart of Southern California, Angel Stadium in Anaheim has hosted more Supercross races than any venue, and proudly serves as the proverbial home of the sport. A win here comes with a certain prestige. With so much left still to prove, Justin Barcia enters a pivotal 2020 Monster Energy Supercross campaign at a venue that just 1 year ago ignited a career turnaround.
He's not afraid to go for it, especially on days when he's feeling it and there's a possibility of a win.
Oh, right up into it!
Justin Barcia's about as aggressive as it gets. He doesn't really worry that much about making other riders mad. We've seen him whip it in front of Kenny's face.
You know, when you look at some of the things that he's done in the past, some of the passes and how he's ridden, you know, it almost seemed like some of those things were a little desperation at times. And, you know, once he was fit and he was riding well, he didn't have to ride so aggressive because he had the speed, he had the confidence, and he had the ability to get the job done. So I think that, you know, he kind of took care of that a little bit on his own just by doing the work.
You know, obviously there's young kids coming up, and I know what I had to go through. Yeah, kids are gonna be fast and have their moments and stuff, but for me, like, I just feel like I've matured so much, and I know what I need to do, and I know what it takes, and I've had a mix of pretty much everything you could name, being knocked down, not having a ride, you know, being the man on top. I've done it all, so I feel like at this point in my career, I'm just able to, you know, whatever's thrown at me, I just use it to my advantage, and yeah, definitely mentally strong rider these days.
Well, here's the thing with Justin Barcia when it comes to 2020 is it's a contract year. We've seen him at times kind of go through the motions a little bit, and then when he didn't have a contract, he got pretty hungry
And he's got to see Dylan Ferrandis at Star Yamaha coming. I mean, this will be Dylan's last year, and you know, Yamaha will want to keep him and take him up.
From all accounts, Monster Energy Yamaha Factory Racing has an amazing bike in the works for 2020. The YT 450F is the fastest bike there is. It's almost too fast in certain cases, and the team tunes it down a little bit to give the guys a controllable power. Should they go through this whole off-season and really hone in what they want to do on that bike, it'll be amazing. If you have Barsha fully healthy on an amazing bike, he's going to win a lot of races.
If pressure is ever a burden on Aaron Plessinger, he never allows it to show. His laid-back demeanor and unmistakable presence in the pits. And while a heel injury sidelined him for much of his rookie 450 season, the ever-optimistic Plessinger feels he's back to 100%.
Find myself riding way better when I'm having fun, and right now, leading up to it, I'm having the most fun I've had in a while. So it feels a lot like the end of 2017 leading into 2018. So it's got a good feeling, a good vibe about it, and I'm excited for it. I'm ready to be back, boys. I'm ready to be back.
It ain't always about racing, it's about having fun.
Is there a more popular rider in the pits than Malcolm Stewart for 2020? Like, seriously, I mean, everybody loves him, right? Of course, James is little brother. He's all grown up now.
We need guys like Malcolm Stewart. It's weird how a person that's never won a main event, has never even been on the podium of 450 Supercross, can just light up a stadium the way he does.
Man, is he exciting to watch? And don't you just love how Malcolm embraces the sport and embraces his job? I mean, I just find his attitude refreshing.
He wants to get out there and pick up, I think, where he left off there. We saw just a glimpse of it at the beginning of the 2019 season. We saw him come out and everybody went, whoa, look at Malcolm. How's this year going to be for him? And he got that taken from him. That frustration, I think, surely this year is just going to all just fuel him.
I'm really like headstrong. It's like, you know, you put the work in, you know that you're going to bounce back even stronger. So I never let it, like, you know, put me down. When something like that happens so early in the season and you didn't really get to show your full potential, it just sucks. But again, that's racing. That's what it's all about. It didn't stop me from years behind anything else I broke, so it ain't going to stop me now.
While much wasn't expected in one of his first races in nearly 9 months, the Monster Energy Cup in Las Vegas in October provided a breakthrough, with Malcolm capturing a main event win and finishing on the podium for the first time in his 450 Supercross career. The Monster Energy Supercross Preview Show is brought to you by Monster Energy, proud partner of Monster Energy Supercross, and by Toyota. Let's go places. Even at the age of 37, Chad Reed's determination has never wavered. His persistence has never let time dictate his story. But the end is inevitable. In early December, Reed decided to call it a career, announcing that 2020 will be his last season. And while the two-time champion has certainly had his moments since arriving on the scene nearly 2 decades ago, no race may seem as important as Anaheim 1, his 250th career start, and offering yet another chance for his adoring fans across the world to witness one of his final races.
The former Supercross champion, the great Australian, one of the grittiest riders on the tour. The crowd is cheering loudly here in Anaheim.
On January 4th, inside Angel Stadium, a new season of Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship will commence. Their dreams finally becoming reality. A 17-round saga that can turn riders into legends, and a chance to be part of something others can only dream of. A chance to etch their name alongside the greats. A chance to rewrite history. With the greatest challenge in their lives looming, they all have a singular focus, all the same goal. Who will answer the call?